Hey everyone, Mr. MC here. This is a guide for round 1 of the Manufacturer Exhibition series. Let's get this started. Your first braking point is going to be just after the red area on the right starts. You brake hard for a short while, quickly ease off of the brakes, and you can take advantage of this first apex right here. You just want to do a little throttle control, just let the car rotate, get it pointing where you want to go, and then fully accelerate. Now ease off of the throttle as you make this right turn. Brake when the grass on the left starts. You'll be braking hard for a short while once again, and all you want to do is just get the car to quickly rotate around this turn, take advantage of the inside curbs, carefully accelerate your way out. Bring yourself to the right, look for the orange barrier on the right, and you want to brake just after you pass it. You want to sacrifice a little bit of speed through this first turn, that way you can set yourself up to take these next two turns going at full throttle and without fighting the car too much to the point where you risk hitting the gravel. Look for the start of the curb on the left, as that is your braking point. You'll be braking hard for a short while and you just want the car to quickly rotate around this turn. Slowly accelerate so you don't risk hitting the wall on the left. Take this first chicane at full throttle. Then when you reach the curb that is on the right, you want to start to lift off of the throttle. So you'll be turning in right around here where the marshal stand is. And you just want to do a little bit of throttle control. Just make sure you try to take the chicane to death in as straight of a line as possible while maintaining maximum speed. Finally, you can brake just before you reach the 100-meter mark. You just want to bring yourself all the way to the inside of the turn, slowly accelerate, stick to the left side of the track, and you are good to go. We'll finish this lap and then we'll quickly talk about the strategies. For this qualifying session, you're going to have 10 minutes to try to get a good qualifying time. I would like to quickly note that for this stage of the manufacturer season, all of the races will have a 10-minute qualifying session. So this track, Jungle Trail Seaside, is a power track. There are many high-speed sections, which means that slipstream is going to be especially important to try to get the best qualifying time possible. So the slipstream range is 3/4 of a second, so you're going to be somewhat close to the car ahead of you. Just try to make sure that you're within, once again, that 3/4 of a second gap, so you can be just barely within the range as you'll slowly be inching closer and closer to the car ahead of you as the qualifying lap goes on. If you're in a handling car like the Porsche 911 RSR, you want to try to be within the slipstream range of a power car like the Nissan GT-R. That way you can keep up with them. You'll be able to get a tow and get yourself a faster qualifying time, because trust me, you're going to need that slipstream, especially in the race. If possible, just try to take it easy on the outlap. That way you don't wear out the tires so quickly. But of course, if everyone around you is going fast and you need that slipstream, then you can kind of just ignore that part of the strategy. Because either way, when you complete your first qualifying lap, you're going to do the jump out and jump back in strategy. This is where you press options, exit, and then on the menu for the lobbies, you press enter course, or on the actual race itself, the button will be called qualifying. You press that and you'll spawn back in at the pit stop, and all you have to do now is just do an out lap and then do another qualifying lap, and you will rinse and repeat until the time runs out. By doing this basically saves you from having to do any in lap, having to go through the pit stop animations and then doing the out lap. Instead, you just spawn back at the pit stop to do out lap, and then you can do your qualifying lap. So once again, you just want to try to repeat that process until the time runs out. And this is especially the case when the tire wear is a little bit on the higher side, as you risk getting worse times as your stint goes on. Before we talk about the strategies, I do want to quickly mention the first apex of this first chicane coming up right here. I ended up being a bit more safe in the race itself by not taking advantage of the track limits, because if you end up taking it wrong, that could potentially unsettle the car, cause you to lose control, or it could put you in an awkward position to where you lose a lot more time compared if you took it safe like how I did just now. But with that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about the strategies, and I'm going to be a lot more straightforward this time, mostly because I'm making this last minute. But that's another story for another time, another video. But anyways, you want to go with a 3-stop for this race, and the reason is that the tire wear rate is a little bit on the higher side. It's a ×6, so you're going to be feeling that tire wear effect a little bit early on. For the racing soft tires, I was starting to feel that tire wear effect at lap 5. For the racing medium tires, I was starting to feel that tire wear effect at lap 6 to 7. So once you start to feel that tire wear effect, that is when you want to start to be a little more careful about how you're driving the car, and especially when you're going through the S's, at least for the Viper, and when you're going through the chicane of death. You don't want to be battling the car too much, because that will shred the tires and that will make the stints a little bit more miserable. So with the 3-stop, you are doing 2 7-lap stints on the racing soft tires, 1 8-lap stint on the racing medium tires, which leaves 1 1-lap stint on the racing hard tires. The pit stop sequence is pretty short here, and the pit loss time is at around 8 seconds. So because it's all pretty short here, you can pretty much just run the 3-stop. Interestingly, this does make the 4-stop possible to do. It's not the most viable, but it is possible to do here. This is where you do 3 6-lap stints on the racing soft tires, 1 4-lap stint on the racing medium tires, and 1 1-lap stint on the racing hard tires. While this does give you a bit more time on the racing soft tires overall, the problem is that you are spending a bit more time at the pit stop, which can give others the advantage to pass you while you pit in. And this strategy can also face the risk of falling apart if you end up in long battles behind or with someone, or if you are getting blocked by someone. The only time where I would say to go with the 4-stop is if you or your car are really harsh on its tires. If you cannot make the 7 laps on the racing soft tires or the 8 laps on the racing medium tires, then take a look at the 4-stop and see if that is the right strategy for you. But if you're able to take care of the tires well enough to make the 3-stop work, then definitely go with that strategy. And if you're starting in the back, of course you want to start with the worst tire compounds. That way you can get them out of the way, and as the race goes on, you'll eventually move on over to the softer tire compounds, and you'll be able to catch up to those who are on the worst tire compounds, or for the unfortunate souls that hit the chicane of death. Last but not least, fuel will be an issue for this race, and it should be an issue for all the races just because these races are long now. So you want to try to find a buddy you can get the slipstream out of, as that's going to help save a bit more fuel, and then you want to short shift behind someone so you can save even more fuel. The goal here is to try to refuel as little as possible, and if you do this right, it is possible to not have to refuel at all. Just try not to do any mega fuel saving, especially if there's no one in front of you, as you'll just end up slowing yourself down. When you want to refuel will depend on your situation. So let's say you're doing soft, medium, hard. You can refuel as early as your second pit stop, which is the one you're seeing right now. Or if it's possible, you can try to refuel at your final pit stop. In this case, I was only 1 lap short of being able to complete the race, so I just went in for a splash and dash. Do note that when I was refueling right now, I had 7.8 laps worth of fuel left, which means that I will not make it on this stint if I didn't refuel, which forced me to refuel. Just don't forget that for this medium stint, I'm trying to go for 8 laps. So whenever you're pitting, just keep an eye on that fuel counter. Make sure you know how long your stints will be. That way, if you see that you're going to be a bit short on fuel for your next stint, you'll know right away, and then you can go ahead and refuel whatever amount of fuel you need. So let's quickly summarize all this up. With the tower rate being pretty high here, it's going to promote somewhat short stints, which makes the 3 and the 4 stop viable. The 4 stop is possible to do here. The only thing is that with the extra pit stop, it will put you at a disadvantage, which can have other cars on the 3 stop pass you as you're making that extra pit stop. The 1 and 2 stop will not work because of the high tower rate, and that will really cause the car to lose a lot more time compared to going with the 3 or the 4 stop. Your method of fuel saving will be short shifting, so you want to try to do that especially whenever you are behind someone. Just try not to make a fuel save whenever you're alone, in other words, not having anyone in front of you, as you'll only end up slowing yourself down. But anyways, that is pretty much it for this guide. It's good to see you all again, and I just want to give a huge thank you for the 8,000 subscribers that this channel just hit recently. But anyways, it is time for me to sign off now, as I want to start to get ready to make the next Nations guide. So this is Mr. MCA, wishing you a good race, and I'll see you in the next video.